Thanks for watching ERi-TV, dear viewers. Welcome to our news broadcast. Here are the headlines. Eritrean Community Festival in Australia and New Zealand. Girls' student school enrollment and competitiveness growing in Massawa subzone. In our domestic news, Eritrean Community Festival in Australia and New Zealand was colourfully conducted from 13 to 15 January in Melbourne under the theme Independent Choice Backbone of Our Pride. The festival that featured photo exhibition of historical buildings of Asmara, the journey of struggle for national independence and nation building, seminar on the objective situation in the homeland as well as children's program was officially opened by Mr. Yusuf Saigh, Head of Organizational Affairs at the PFDJ. Speaking at the event in which communities and organizations as well as invited guests took part, Mr. Maharit Ghasta, Eritrea's Consul General, pointed out the significance of festivals in the preservation of culture and transferring the history and noble societal values to the young generation, and called on nationals to strengthen organization and participation in the national affairs. Mr. Mahari also commended the strong participation of youth at the festival and those that contributed for the successful implementation of the event. Mr. Bruce Lancashire, Mayor of Brimbank City, appreciated the strong organization of nationals he witnessed and further expressed readiness to support the nationals in all their endeavors. Mr. Gumbot Kidane, Chairman of Eritrean Community in Victoria, on his part called on parents to strengthen participation in the effort to transfer the noble societal values to the young generation. Mr. Yusuf Saigh also gave a seminar focusing on the objective situation in the homeland and regional developments. Mr. Ismail Saleh, Head of Education Office in Massawa subzone, said that girls' student school enrollment and competitiveness is growing from time to time. Mr. Ismail said that the number of girl students that was previously about 44% in 2018-2019 academic year has increased to 48.7% in 2022-2023 academic year. Mr. Ismail went on to say that the number of women teachers that was 44.4% has currently increased to 85.2%, and that has significantly contributed in the increasing of girl students' school enrollment. Mr. Ismail also said that the equitable distribution of schools in the subzone is contributing in the development of the teaching learning process. There are 12 preschools, 11 elementary, 7 junior, and 2 high schools in Massawa subzone. The National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students branch in Adkhwala subzone organized training program ranging from 2 weeks to 3 months to over 300 disadvantaged students in the subzone. The theoretical and practical training program included electricity installation, first aid, poultry farming, as well as social science, indicating that the training program was in continuation of the effort to develop vocational capacity of the youth. Mr. Girmay Gabru, head of the union branch in the southern region, called on the trainees to apply the training provided in improving their livelihoods. Commending the union branch for organizing the training program, Mr. Andamaskal Adhanom, administrator of the subzone, called on the youth in the subzone to take advantage of the various training programs offered by the union. Those are domestic news. Please stay tuned now for the international news right after. Around 25 million people in California are under a flood watch this weekend as the latest in a parade of deadly storms drenches the state. Several waterways have flooded, at least 19 people have died, and thousands have been told to evacuate their homes. In Montecito, a town 135 kilometers northwest of Los Angeles, locals say the rain aggravates their trauma. A mudslide killed 23 people in 2018, and many are afraid it could happen again. The evacuation order in Montecito has been lifted, but residents remain on edge. And with so much of the land already saturated, the risk of flooding and landslides is very real. At least 19 people have died in those storms, which began in late December. In northern California, vineyards are underwater. In Capitola, the historic wharf has been destroyed and the beach town battered. In the story's Salinas Valley, the river is rising and threatening California's famed agricultural heartland. U.S. President Joe Biden has now ordered federal aid for Sacramento, Merced, and Santa Cruz counties. In California, everyone is watching their phones, waiting to hear if they could evacuate and wondering where it might be safe to go if they do not need to leave town. Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the Russian economy is in better shape than previously expected and is on course for further stabilization. According to the head of state, all major economic indicators point to a further stabilization of the country's economy. He noted that inflation is expected to slow from the current 11.9% to around 5% in the first quarter of the year. Annual inflation in Russia in 2022 came in lower than previously predicted. Inflation peaked in April at 17.83%, but gradually subsided in the following months. China has confirmed far more COVID-19 deaths than ever before, reporting that nearly 60,000 people have died from the virus in the past 5 weeks. Beijing acknowledged that the new death toll is likely not complete. There were 59,938 COVID-linked deaths in China from December 8 through January 12, the National Health Commission announced on Saturday. Of that total, 5,503 people died from respiratory failure caused directly by the virus, while 54,435 succumbed while suffering from both COVID-19 and underlying ailments. All of the reported deaths occurred in hospitals, meaning the figures did not include possibly significant numbers of people who died at home or elsewhere. There were 105,000 critically ill COVID-19 patients in hospitals as of January 12, down 18% from a week earlier. Traffic also has slowed at the fever clinics and emergency rooms. The new figures would push the death toll to 93,636. By comparison, the U.S., which is less than one-fourth of as many people as China, has reported nearly 1.09 million COVID-19 deaths. Please stay tuned now for a recap of tonight's headlines. Eritrean Community Festival in Australia and New Zealand. Girl students' school enrollment and competitiveness growing in Massawa subzone. China sucks 60,000 deaths from COVID. And that was our news for tonight, dear viewers. It is good night from us.